Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of Two Truths and One Lie. This time it is the recovery edition. Now, what I'm doing slightly differently this time is I'm going to go through my research at the same time and present the findings for everybody to see. I usually do it beforehand and then explain the process throughout that, but now I think it'll give a little bit more context to why things are true and false and why that is the case. So go straight into it. The three questions that were posed to the people on my Instagram story were: proper hydration and electrolyte balance play a crucial role in muscle recovery. Okay. Adjusting rest strategies based on training intensity and competition schedules can enhance long-term athletic performance and reduce injury risk. Okay. And finally, static stretching immediately after training is the best way to reduce muscle soreness and reduce what's called DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. Okay. So those were the three questions. People had to spot whether they were true or false. Okay. It was another interesting spread. The two truths was proper hydration and electrolyte balance playing a crucial role in muscle recovery, and periodizing your recovery. Okay. So adjusting your rest strategies based on your training program itself and when your competitions are, and kind of just around your lifestyle. The lie was the static stretching immediately after training can reduce your DOMS. And we're going to go through it. So to start with the hydration side of it, 50% of people believed that this was the lie, which was quite interesting. And if you just give me a moment, I will share my screen with what I have found. Okay. We can kind of go through it together. Okay. So what we can see, okay, is it talks a little bit about the muscle recovery process. I've spoken before about micro tears that occur in the muscle fibers during exercise, and that's what leads to muscle growth and strength gains. Looking at it here, you've kind of got three main electrolytes that you will take in. You've got sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Okay, all will have different roles. Okay, so it all comes out in your sweat, right? That's why it's a little bit like your sweat is salty, right? It's fairly straightforward. After intense workout, replenishing sodium can help your body retain water, which is essential for recovery. A common theme throughout will be about how water within your body can aid your recovery. You know, if you're dehydrated, then your muscles won't have the malleability. So it will either take longer to recover, or you can also run the risk of higher injuries. Okay. Potassium aids in muscle contraction and relaxation, prevents cramps and facilitates recovery. It's kind of just what I said there. So yeah, there you go. And then magnesium, it's interesting. I take magnesium as a supplement itself. I take it in the evenings because it helps to improve your sleep quality. Okay. Which is a huge part of your recovery process. If you're not getting enough sleep, again, how can you expect yourself to perform to a high level? So it's really important to keep your electrolytes topped up. You know, living in Thailand, it's always hot. You're always sweating. So I've always got a sachet of electrolytes ready to dump in a bottle of water, because they taste nice, but also like I do feel like it gives me a little boost if I feel like I've been busy, I've been sweating a lot, and so then that just helps to replenish it. I mean, look, it's fairly straightforward, this one. Electrolytes such as we've already mentioned, sodium, potassium, and magnesium, they maintain fluid balance, support muscle contractions and relaxation, and enhance the recovery and quality of sleep. You know, obviously, yeah, they talk about having a balanced diet and what have you. That's always important. A lot of the food that we do eat nowadays isn't complete with all the nutrients that we want from it. So it's always helpful to supplement. I would advise doing a little bit of research before just going into supplementation. So yeah, 50% of people said that was false, which was quite interesting. Yeah, the second truth, which 17% of people thought was false, was regarding periodizing your recovery, adjusting your rest strategies based on your training intensity and your competition schedules. That's true as well, because recovery isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. If you look at elite athletes, in any sport, they plan the recovery based on their competition, what they're doing, and their training intensity, the intensity of the games or the competitions, when each one is, when each thing is structured. There's no way that it would be a sort of, oh, well, I've got a game on a Saturday, so I will just do the same as if I had a game on a Tuesday. It doesn't work that way. You need to be adaptable with how you train. And so the kind of the idea of periodization is, it's including things like a peaking and a tapering week. If you're building up, let's say preseason, if you're building up to something, to your regular season, in the preseason, you're gonna hit yourself in a peak. Okay, you're gonna build up and build up and build up and build up and build up, and then you're gonna peak. And it would probably maybe be two weeks, a week before the regular season begin, where you begin that tapering. And that would just be maintaining. You wouldn't be looking to push higher because your muscles will get more fatigued, and that would impact your performance. The whole goal of strength and conditioning isn't around, it's not around getting stronger specifically. Don't get me wrong, there is an element to it, but it's to improve your performance. And so if you're getting stronger, but at the sacrifice of your overall performance, then something's not being done right. So you kind of want to be able to have those working hand in hand together. It is easier said than done. So this was periodization, a strategic influence into athletics and academics. Okay, so like I've said, it's often synonymous with organization of athletic training. Okay, it's not a one-size-fits-all strategy. It can't be. Okay, because if it is, then you can't expect somebody to just perform the same way when people have different competitions, people have different intensities of when their training is. So there's an awful lot to it. There's an awful lot to it. Apologies for that. I think that I should maybe, I'm gonna refine the way I do this, because just having the article there and then trying to find the information when I do it, you're a lot more kind of time pressured. So I think it's best to read a little bit beforehand rather than, Nonetheless, okay. So that was two truths. And then the overall lie was that static stretching can be used to reduce DOMS, okay, delayed onset muscle soreness, okay, and that is false, okay, that's wrong. Nothing other than plenty of rest, managing your training load, and your nutrition can really reduce your muscle soreness, and that's kind of what I've just spoken about there. Static stretching feels great. I do it all the time, whether I'm in bed, just about to go to sleep, or it's the middle of the day and I've got maybe 15-20 minutes to spare. It feels good. It feels good. So this isn't me saying by any way, shape or form, do not static stretch, because it feels good. And it's the same thing as like, if you do saunas and cold plunges or something like that, you practice specifically nasal breathing, like if it feels good and it doesn't like damage you in any way, then continue to do it. I'm just saying that it doesn't actually have any specific change on reducing your muscle soreness. There's some times where if I've had a heavy workout, it helps to just limber me up. But again, that doesn't reduce the aches and the pains that I feel. It may just help me to kind of move a little bit and be a little bit more mobile. It's kind of in the realms of active recovery. I think when you do a heavy workout, you're training a lot, the best way that I find to actually recover is to do some kind of active recovery, whether it's walking, swimming, or some stretches. The most sore I feel is if I do nothing, if I don't do anything for that day, I then end up playing kind of catch up the following days. So kind of falls in the bracket of active recovery. Now I have found an article here. We can go through this at the same time because I've not really looked at it, but they talk about the idea of active recovery and long-term recovery. So they say short-term or active recovery occurs in the hours soon after intense exercise. So there you go. That's kind of what I was talking about, but less so a couple of hours afterwards and more so like a day or so after. You know, they say I tend to think short-term recovery is what you're doing in that day. So maybe, yeah. What can if you're going for a 6-mile run, what can I do afterwards? So that's what I find as well, where they say here active recovery increases blood circulation. I feel that as well, just getting more oxygen and more blood to the muscles, I think will always help with a little bit of recovery. If you're laying there and you're doing nothing, then there's going to be less blood flowing around the body, whereas just getting a bit of movement going gets the blood flowing nicely and gets some oxygen to the muscles, which can help with to reduce the fatigue, which is pretty much what they've said here. But I've just talked about muscles, but they also talk about tendons and ligaments. So they talk about light physical activity, raising the heart rate above resting rate, but avoiding the same repetitive movements they perform during training or an event. That's interesting because I've not really thought about it in that sense. But at the same time, I'm not a swimmer. I'm not like an Olympic sprinter. So if I'm doing my my swimming or my walking or anything like that, that's all I'm kind of doing. And when I swim, I'm not going out to kind of break records or what have you. I'm just a gentle kind of, I like to just pretend I'm a frog, to be honest. I like to pretend I'm a frog. I can just dive in the pool and swim about at the bottom, see how long I can hold my breath for. Like, just kind of do little things like that. Nothing too strenuous. But there you go. Looking at it here, they say examples of effective exercise, recovery exercise, brisk walking, jogging, swimming. If you have access to a pool, it's great. But at the same time, like, we can all just take a little walk. It doesn't need to be much. I will do anything between 15 minutes to an hour or two. Sometimes I like to put my earphones on if I'm listening to an audiobook that I'm really interested in or a podcast. That'll take me walking for a good hour or two. So yeah, that's kind of good. Active recovery is an ideal time to incorporate stretching and massages because muscles are already warm. So stretches to increase a range of motion. It can also reduce the risk of injury. I'm not sure about that. I'm not entirely sure about that because there's not anything to support that currently. It's the same with foam rolling. I've never foam rolled because in terms of like, it's supposed to be a massage sort of thing. I've never foam rolled because it never gets deep enough to actually, like, you do massages to aid with blood flow. Foam rolling doesn't get deep enough to enhance your blood flow. It feels good. So if people do it, then do it. Okay. I personally don't because I have other things that I do. But I would say, yeah, like that kind of what I was speaking about before, like the whole stretching thing, I feel like it increases my range of motion. That's what I feel. I don't feel like it reduces my risk of injury. I feel that what does reduce my risk of injury is how I manage my load, how I manage my training intensity, and what I do throughout the week, how much sleep I get and what I'm eating. Okay. So it's a bit odd that they've kind of like, it's just like that short sentence at the end. It also reduces the risk of injury. If people feel like it does, then they feel like it does, because I think that psychology is a big, particularly with sports performance, psychology plays a huge role in your mental preparation, can dictate an awful lot of your physical preparations. This kind of whole thing is with regards to recovery, doing what feels good to you. What's interesting, I haven't heard about long-term recovery, so we're finding something new out here. Long-term recovery involves rest and recovery periods that are built into a seasonal training schedule. It may also days or weeks of rest, recovery to an annual athletic program. Okay. So maybe it's something where, looking at like a football season, you see a lot of teams will go on like a warm weather training camp. Arsenal went out to Dubai last month. Many teams I've seen have been to like these warm weather training camps. That may be it. They may call it a warm weather training camp, but it may actually just be a couple of days to just really like tone down a bit of the training, let the body rest and catch up a little bit before the tail end of the season kicks in, where it tends to be a lot more intense. So there you go. So the duration of the long-term recovery depends on your age, your sport, and your training regime. Yeah, 100%. Like I think somebody who's younger, they're gonna recover quicker. You take an 18-year-old James Milner, and you compare him to what he is now. Like he can't be 40 just yet. He must be like 36, 37. I don't know. I think 18-year-old James Milner would recover a lot quicker than 37-year-old James Milner. Same with the sport. You know, you look at something with a lot of contact in it. Take rugby. I think that you would need more time to recover in that in comparison to something with lower contact like badminton. You know, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that rugby is a harder sport. Badminton is very difficult. I don't have the agility for it. But in terms of the demands of the body in a game of full contact rugby, I think there's going to be a higher, not a higher demand, maybe a different demand, or maybe a higher demand. I'll say a higher demand. I'll say it with my chest. There's going to be a higher demand. So therefore, the recovery period needs to be longer. And then also your kind of your training regime. Pretty important. Because again, just depending on what your periodized structure of it is. There you go. The example they've given is like marathon runners, but for me, a summer recreational trail runner, taking time off in the fall looks a lot different than it does from my friend who runs 2 marathons. So a lot of that has to do with the level of intensity and the volume, what you're training and what you're doing for training. Interesting. It suggests that athletes who engage in high intensity exercise should schedule a rest day every 7 to 10 days. Yeah, that's kind of, I'd say so. I'd like to think that's fairly common knowledge, but if you've got the American Council of Exercise advocating for it, it does tend to be like, I recommend to most people I work with to take two rest days in the week. For me, it's always the weekend. It's just how it falls. I like to train hard during the week, and then over the weekend decompress a little bit. Saturday go sauna, cold plunge, maybe a massage. Again, no proven benefits to it, but it feels good to me. And then the Sunday is just more of a chill day, decompress, take a walk, run some errands, have a swim. And then I know that I've had those 2 days where then the rest of the week will go hard. And I structure that because that's how my life is, my lifestyle is. If I had been playing for a rugby team, it would be different, where I'd probably be training Tuesdays, maybe Thursdays, and then Saturdays would be game days. So then my whole strength and conditioning would change. My whole recovery would change. I would probably look at taking Friday and Sunday off in that respect, because then it's, Thursday would be the last push of training. Friday is like, okay, get a bit of rest and do a couple of bit of movement just to get things kind of moving again. Saturday's game day. I know I'm coming in with 24 to 48 hours of rest in my body, fully ready to go. And then the Sunday gives me the chance to do what I want to do, whether it's have my Sunday as it is, or maybe have it as my Saturday where I'm kind of doing a little bit more different active recovery, let's say, So yeah, we've already kind of spoken about periodization. I won't go into that, but that's just pre-scheduling your recovery days. And this is quite an extensive article. This is. I think that this may have just been able to do everything, but it's it talks about signs of overtraining as well. Really, that's just making sure you have enough rest and you're not pushing yourself too hard. You're not pushing yourself too hard, and that's where periodizing your rest comes into it. Making sure that your training schedule meets what your competition and intensity is saying, and so then you're working your rest in around it, and you're getting enough. It's interesting. What are the signs that athletes need a rest day? It is interesting. They say listen closely to your body. A lot of the time that is the case. I find a lot of the time that is the case where I will be training, and I'll have my structured routine of training, and I'll maybe get to a day where it's like, shit, I don't like I feel tired, I feel lethargic, I feel sluggish. And so sometimes a decision needs to be made on whether it's going to be a full day off and just doing that, kind of prioritizing that active recovery, or looking to do more of like a light day. So doing what I would do, but not looking to push anything heavy, going through the motions, so that then, say when the following week comes, I'm still in the right space to be able to do that. Interesting. They talk about passive recovery. Days of doing nothing are really important. 100%. 100%. I think that you can't be too busy. You can't be too busy and always be like, we need to do some active recovery. For example, last night, I fell asleep at 10:30. I woke up at 6:30 this morning. I fell back asleep and didn't wake up until 11:30 a.m. It was beautiful. It was bliss. I then continued watching a film I was watching last night. I didn't get to finish because I fell asleep. And then once that finished, I got myself up. It was kind of towards the afternoon. I got myself up and I did some shopping. So I went for my walk. I've got the blood flowing. But that morning of doing nothing was great, because I don't get the opportunity to do that any other day or very often. So to have the chance to do that, I love. But I don't think you should take too much time doing that. I think if it's one day a week, cool. But if you start stacking them, I personally feel like my productivity is negatively impacted. So yeah. Let's just have a look. But I think a lot of this I've already covered. Let's see if there's any overlooked aspects of rest. Okay. Talk about nutrition. Nutrition is hugely important. I've already kind of touched upon that. And that kind of falls into the elements of the electrolytes consumption. When I eat well, I feel like I'm doing far better. It was interesting to see different perspectives on rest and recovery from the people that voted. Those who did vote, thank you very much. Something that I did notice in reading all of that, and something I've always had in my mind, but this is just kind of reinforced, is, again, just do what feels right to you. There's absolutely certain objectives that you should stick to with regards to sleep, with regards to nutrition, with regards to hydration, as well as managing your training load. I think if those fall off, then you will find yourself to be negatively impacted. Okay. But I think everything else, just do what feels good. Whether that's using a foam roller or a massage gun, or you say doing an ice bath, or like, I think it's like infrared therapy, and there's all these different types. There's all these different types of recovery that can be included or looked at. And look, if it feels good in your mind, then go for it. Like, I'm a big advocate of that. And if it doesn't feel good, then don't do it. It's the same with exercises. Like, if something feels good and you feel like you're getting stronger doing it, then do it. But if you feel like it's taking you to Snap City, or you feel like you're increasing your risk of injury, then you don't need to do it. Find something else that you can do and that you will enjoy. So yeah, that is all I've got for you today. Thank you very much for watching. If you would like to follow me, or you have any suggestions of what you would like to see me cover, by all means, TrainMore97 on Instagram, TikTok. I was about to say Snapchat. I don't have Snapchat. And Twitter. Give me a message there if you feel I've missed anything, you want to discuss anything, by all means. I'm going to try this format again, and more kind of looking at different articles and kind of go through it and at the time, which I think would be better. But I'm going to do a little bit of reading before then, because I think then it will save a lot of time. I didn't anticipate the amount of potential dead air that there could be. So yeah, I'm going to look at some coaching stuff. I have a couple of conversations about coaching, and do a video based on that. I want to do another interview. I've already done Brett the Beast, the owner of the gym. I'm hopefully going to get the opportunity to sit down with some other ones of my colleagues and do something there. And there might be some other stuff coming, so stay tuned. As I say, if you like what I do, give me a subscribe, give me a like, and then follow on any social medias, TrainMore97. Yeah, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time.